Let's go.
Yeah.
It's a bogum. Fagum kaka. Bogum.
Hollywood rituals.
Aye. Come back.
Like that. It's not enough. Add some more.
Try to look at it.
Now, oh yeah, like. They dead.
Right. Now, my name is Uzifa.
What's up, guys? Hope you're doing great. This is your boy Kobe Shorts. I know I haven't been posting videos as I wanted to, but of course I needed to come back once again with yet another video. And in today's video, we're gonna look at how I shot a short film at midnight. Yeah, you heard me right, at midnight. I was skeptical about the time to shoot, but we just needed a very sound, serene, very quiet place to shoot at, and of course there wouldn't be any better time than to shoot in the night. And I had to write or put together the concept or the storyline to have something that will make sense if shot in the night. Because we shot this in the night, I had to be very fast about that so that we wouldn't have vehicles coming in, because the whole short film was supposed to happen within a minute or so, or three, where was actually midnight. So when we were done, or when we were very close to when we were done, I think it was close to 5 a.m, which meant that we shot this over 4 hours. And to maintain that same time at midnight, we had to ensure that we shot as fast as we could. And that actually warranted the reason why I made this film as short as possible, so we could finish everything within the few 4 hours that we had on ourselves. So without much ado, let us dive into how I shot this short film. But before that, if you wish to take a look at the short film before you come over here, because there are going to be a lot of spoilers, so kindly go watch the film. I'm going to link it up right over there in the right top corner, so click on it, check it out, and come back and look at this video where you are going to experience how we went through the processes into coming about the short film. Starting off with my camera setup, I use my Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K and also with my 14 to 42 mm lens, having an aperture of 3.5 to 5.6 when it's zoomed in all the way. And talking about lighting, I used my Godox SL60W with some lights that I borrowed from a friend who was, fortunately for me, around to help me out with the lights. I'm gonna go down to the props before I come all the way up to casting. So with the props, we had some few things that we needed to take a close look at, because this film was actually a horror film and it was written with a mindset of gore and violence, so we needed to include some blood, and creating the blood wasn't an easy one. I'm going to talk about what we used to mix them up, but before then, I was fortunate enough to have a car, which was also part of the concept. A doctor friend of mine who gave us his car, and with the assistance of his friend, he also came along to help us out with the movement, because my cast had no idea about how to drive cars or how to work around cars. So I needed someone to help out with the movement and maybe some little bit of tuition as to what to do when you are in a car. We definitely needed a knife to do some stabbing. And of course, talking about the blood that we used, we were able to create the blood by mixing toothpaste for the viscosity, food dye, which was red, as well as water to mix it up and give it that liquid nature that we needed. And the last two items that we needed was some messed up car ties or unwanted or disposed car ties for some road blocking, which was also part of the concept, together with some tables that we picked up from right next to where we're shooting. And for audio, I used a lapel mic. I used a lapel mic throughout, and we had a way to hide the lapel mic. So thinking about how close I wanted my cast to be to the microphone, I needed to have the microphone very close and still have the flexibility of shooting very wide if I needed to, and still not show the microphone in the shot. So I had to conceal it in one way or the other and still be able to shoot it without the slightest detail or the slightest giveaway. What helped me out most was that the smallest size of the microphone helped me to be able to conceal it even better. And this begs the question of what brand of a microphone that I used. I used the Rode Wireless Go, which is a small 2-part lavalier mic, which one is the transmitter and the other is a receiver. So I attached my receiver right onto my camera and connected it by the cable, and with the transmitter I attached it to the dress of my character when I needed one to be speaking very close to it. But because it's just one microphone, I had to at all costs get my characters very close to each other. But if I wanted to give very much detail to one character, I will always attach to that character the microphone. I have 2 female characters in there, and these are friends, alright? What I do with my short films is I contact people who I know are enthused and who are ready no matter what. And because this was a low to no budget short film, I had to have friends who were willing and ready for anything that was to come about in the creation of this short film. So I contacted them and I had them come over, of course, so we could discuss the short film and its concept over one night. I think a night before, 2 nights before the shoot, of course. So when they came through, I described and narrated the short film and the concept around it, and they helped me out with the dialogue because I didn't want to take charge of everything. And this is what teamwork actually plays a big role. When you delegate to people some certain rules, they come with more ideas that you definitely might not have thought about. So work with people most of the time, accommodate their views on what it is that they think will be best for the concept. Look into it and decide for yourself if it's a good fit. Then you can add it to the story idea. So I had them put together their dialogue, and when I read through it, I thought it was best, and I made some few corrections if necessary. I think I did some few things, but for the most part, everything was just perfect for what I thought it was. So the day came and we had to shoot. So these 2 characters are actually friends, and so they have naturally this kind of connection, and it really helped throughout because first of all, they were not total strangers, and secondly, they were able to correct each other at any time, and each of them was ready to accommodate each other's remarks about what they thought the other should have done, so we could correct everything as we went along and have a successful shoot just like we did. And next is the crew. I had 4 people helping out, but I actually had one more character that I didn't talk about who happens to be part of the crew as well, and he had to play the role of the villain. So what I had him do was that I didn't show his face, and so I can either have him here or there. So one of the crew members handled the lights, the one that I spoke before, that he gave me his lights, and he was also willing to help me out, fortunately for me, on set. And so that's one of them. The second is, of course, the villain, the guy who acted the villain, who also helped out with some bit of the blood and the gore part of the film. And thirdly, I had another friend who took charge of the behind the scenes that you're watching. So he filmed basically almost everything and also helped out with the movement of the lights at the time that we needed it. And lastly, I also had a friend that I even spoke about before, that he helped out with the driving of the car and some bit of tuition for the characters in the car, and that was about that. So looking at the lighting, I had to position the lights at places where I needed it. So starting off, I had my characters walk out of a supposed building or supposed gate, walking towards a vehicle. I had to have the light pointed at them, one from behind and one right in front of them. So the camera was shooting towards them with one light back there, rimming them out of the dark background. Because we shot in the night, we didn't have to expose so much of a lot of things, so that we could keep the time of day accurate as it's supposed to be. So as I walked towards the car, I made it a point to shoot them move all the way to the car, different times, having in mind different shot sizes so that I could put them together and seamlessly have a smooth flow of the cuts. So the idea was that they would enter the car, and with that process I had to reposition my lights to make sure that there was light still coming from behind, hitting them and rimming out the car seats within the car to give it much more dimension, and one light that's my Godox SL60W with a 95cm octabox right in front of it to soften the light and to shoot through the windscreen of the vehicle. With the help of the microphone and also the car windows rolled up, everything was just quiet inside, and I could correctly single out their voices, and that helped ensure that every audio that you could hear was crisp and clear. So it took a lot of shots with some car movements, which was being done by the guy who helped out with the driving of the car, all the way down to where we needed to create the gore, the blood, and all that. So we mixed up the toothpaste with the food dye, the red food dye, and water. So we mixed them up in a bowl, and we had to create some special effects with it. In the end, I realized that the blood was a little bit more thick, and so we had to dilute it after some trials, and this was the most challenging part because anytime we spilled it against the window glass, we had to clean it off if we didn't get the shot right, and that was so exhausting. So we did that I think a couple of times, and we were satisfied with the shots, and that was about that. So when we're done with that, we had to shoot some shots also with the blood oozing from underneath the vehicle, and this is all gonna be very understandable if you watch the short film itself, which is linked up above. So please check it out, and yeah, you're going to understand and enjoy how we went about the process into arriving at this short film. And that was entirely the process that we went through to arrive at the short film that I have linked up there again. So please go check it out once more. And it was a learning curve actually, because I challenged myself to work within a matter of 4 hours, barely 4 hours before people woke up. So it was a quick one, but we learned a lot and we were able to arrive at something good. And of course, with the help of the little crew I was able to assemble, we had a smooth flow, and I could get things done at the right possible time. So this brings me to the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more videos and more reviews on my behind the scenes. And of course, turn on the post notification button so that you always be notified anytime I upload a new video to my YouTube channel. And until the next video, have a wonderful day. See ya.